Hello everyone, I'm Brittany and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make some geometric heart-shaped cake bites. I'll show you how to make the shell and fill them and give you a few different ideas on how to decorate them. To get started, you're going to need a small geometric heart silicone mold. I bought mine from Amazon and it came with this big one. So the one I bought came with both of these together. I will link them in the description box below if you want to just buy this exact one. And I also always link any of the other supplies I use in my videos in the description box as well. To make sure my mold is clean and free of dust, fuzz, and crumbs, I use a bit of vodka and a cotton cloth to wipe it out. To melt my chocolate, I'm going to use these silicone cups. They work so good. Try to avoid using glass because glass overheats and can burn your chocolate. And in order to melt all my chocolate colors, I just put them in this and heat them for 20 to 30 seconds at a time until they're smooth. Now, in preparation to fill my mold, I've set up just a little area to flip it upside down on. I just put a piece of parchment paper under a cookie cooling rack, and that's where I'm going to dump out my chocolate. And then because the mold has so many slots and it's flimsy, I'm going to cut it in half because for my purposes, I'm filling all of these ones with white chocolate and then these will be different colors. So then I'm also going to cut this one more time. That'll just make things easier. And you don't have to cut yours, or you can cut them all out separate or by twos or whatever works best for you. So for my first design, I'm using kind of a really simple technique that ends up looking really cool in the end. I've got a glove and I'm just going to swipe the heart with some purple. This is a fun technique because it usually turns out looking really cool, but it's really easy to do. This is not my best glove. I ran out of my fitted gloves, so I'm just using this, but basically you just wipe the chocolate on, and I'm going a little past half, and there's really no particular look for this. It's just kind of supposed to look abstract, I guess. So these two are going to be white with purple swipes, and then these two are going to be white with gold splatter. So it's now time to fill these 4 shells. And I've got some melted white chocolate and I've let it sit out for a bit so it's not too hot. If it's too hot, it'll melt the purple and kind of like smear what we've done. So I've got my semi-cooled white chocolate and I'm just going to pour it in till it fills the mold. And I'm going to tap it or shake it because it's hard to pick up so that it fills in all the corners of the geometric shape. And then I'm going to tip it back and forth a little bit to make sure each of the edges are coated with white chocolate. And then I'm just going to take it onto my cookie cooling sheet and tip it upside down. You can help the chocolate fall by kind of tapping the top, because we don't want the shell to be too thick. check it to see how thick it is. And if it's still pretty thick, which mine really look like they are, you can just shake it more. And those are looking better, not too thick. And once you're satisfied with the thickness, you're going to scrape the edges so that they're nice and clean. And you can let these set up at room temperature until you fill them, or you can pop them in the fridge for a few minutes. Okay, so the next design that I'm doing is a pink and white marble. So in this little cup, I'm going to layer some white chocolate with some pink by just doing zigzags back and forth. Like this. Okay. I think I want to add one more layer on top. So this one, I kind of want it to swirl a little bit. So I'm not going to fill it all the way, and then go around until all the edges are touched by the chocolate. And then I'll tip it up like we did with the other ones. And then check it to see how thick. Not too bad. This one's a little thick, so I tap it a little bit more. Then I'll clean the edges. Now, let them set up. For my last design, I wanted to do some flowers. So I'm just going to use a piping bag to pipe on some daisies with some cute little yellow middles. So for these ones, I stuck them in the fridge so they could set up a little bit and make sure they're completely cool. And I'm going to fill the shell a little different. I've got light blue chocolate in a piping bag, and I want to make sure my chocolate's not too warm. And I'm just going to pipe it in around each flower to make sure all the little gaps are full. This also helps me create a shell and spread it without moving the flowers around too much, because if the chocolate's too warm and you move the flowers around, they can smear pretty easy. So this just helps with that. You can use the piping tip to push it in all the little corners. And then shake it a little bit to make sure it's knocked down. And I'm going to tip it just like the rest. And then scrape it clean. And let it set up. And then for the cake bite filling, you're just going to take a baked cake. It can be homemade or store-bought. I'm using a boxed cake and it just have funfetti and some cream cheese icing. And I don't really use a ratio or recipe for this. I just add the frosting and squish it in until it's a consistency that I like. Some people like more frosting, some people like more cake. I like it more cakey so that it's not so squishy and gooey when you eat it. These gloves are the worst. I want my other gloves, but I don't have any left. Okay, it popped a hole and look, it's in here. You know, you can also use a spoon or a spatula. So it's looking a little dry still because there's some dry crumbs. So we'll just add a little more frosting and mix that in. This is the texture I like it. It's kind of like when you pick it up and squish it, it'll hold its shape without being too sticky. And now you just take your filling and scoop some into the mold and squish it in. You don't want to overfill them or you won't be able to seal it with your chocolate on the top. So give yourself a little space between the top edge of the mold and how high you put the cake filling. And now you just seal it in by scooping the matching chocolate over the top, making sure it's all covered, and scraping it clean. Once they're covered, you want to put them in the freezer to get nice and chilled before you unmold them. Once your bites are all set up, you'll pull them out of the freezer. And to unmold them, you just carefully tip them upside down, give them a gentle press, and it should peel right off. To finish off the marbled hearts, I'm going to add a little metallic silver. To do this, I'm just kind of following the lines from the marble and just swirling the silver around. To finish off the white, I'll do a gold splatter. And for the purple, I think I want to dust on just a little bit of luster dust. Alright guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, give it a like down below. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, then today's the day. And if you'd like to see something else that's sweet, go ahead and click on one of these thumbnails. Thanks so much for watching today. I'll see you soon. Bye!